Welcome to another episode of I Am Nano.
Putting the I in I Am Nano. I am your host, Irfani.
And I am your other host, Monica.
And today, as part of our new Nano Life series, we have two special guests who will be sharing their experiences, advice, and opinions in pursuing a nanotechnology engineering degree.
Excited to introduce Gillian, who has graduated from a nanotechnology bachelor's, and Cam, who is currently in the middle of his nanotechnology degree. Both come from the University of Waterloo in Canada, and they're going to share with us their journeys.
All right, so to start off, why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourself? Like, what are your hobbies, interests, role models?
Perfect. I'm Cam, and I'm in my third year of the Nanotechnology Engineering program at the University of Waterloo. I am a long distance runner. So I'm the captain of the cross country team at the university. That's where most of my free time goes, actually. I enjoy running. And apart from that, I spend my free time watching sports, cooking. I enjoy cooking more for the eating aspect rather than the cooking of the food itself. But I got to keep up a good diet for my athletics. And lastly, I just enjoy hiking a lot. I enjoy hiking with my girlfriend. As for role models, I'll mention as well, one of my biggest role models was the previous captain of the cross-country team. His name was Nick. And I'll tell you a funny story about Nick and myself. 1 month, I had a knee injury, so I wasn't running at all that month. And it was I was kind of feeling down about that. So then one day, Nick texted me. And he said, hey, how long have you ever biked? How far have you biked at one sitting? And we ended up biking 100 kilometers that day, just so that he could make me feel better about myself.
Oh my
So I could feel better about my knee injury. So he's my role model. And
that's great.
He kind of taught me a lot about athletics and academics, and even helped me with some of my personal problems as well.
100 kilometers, man. Oh my goodness.
It took us 3.5 hours. This on an indoor bike as well. Stationary bike at the gym at the university. Yeah, that's the life of a broke student, I guess. You have a free gym pass, but not enough money to buy an expensive bike. But as for kind of a more, sciencey inspiration person, recently I've watched some of Mark Rober's science videos. I don't know if you've ever seen his videos.
Yeah.
They're quite entertaining and intriguing at the same time. I like the way he explains science at such a simple level and makes it interesting, He makes it fun for sure.
Yeah, his storytelling is really cool. All right, thanks, Cam. And now Gillian.
My name is Gillian. I graduated from the University of Waterloo, major in nanotechnology engineering in 2019. Since then, I started working as a research and regulatory affairs assistant at a startup company. Because of my hobbies, I like playing ultimate frisbee casually. I like cooking. I like walking my cats. I have 2 cats and they love the outdoor. And I'm always worried that if I just send them outdoor, they're never going to come back. So I put a leash on them and then I walk them basically. Yeah, because it's almost summertime. It's about time that they will be waiting at the door and looking at me and be like, oh, why are you not walking me today? My role model, I would say it's my mother. She's a very virtuous person in general. She's very courageous, very kind and compassionate. And she's the type of person that I want to be. And, when she was having a difficult time with her life, when she was younger, she was still actively studying, reading and striving to improve. And that just motivates me to be better and to be like her. I think my role model in science is still Mary Curie, a very typical one that people would choose. Her story just really inspired me. And that's when I was a little child, I read her story and then I thought, oh, wow, science, it's such an amazing process that you try to discover something new. So I think that's also part of the human nature that you're always wanting to explore, wanting to know more about the unknowns. I saw the pictures of her labs and her working in the lab, and I was like, wow, I want to be someone like her. It's a pretty stereotypical story, but yeah, that's how I would say she's my science role model.
I think it's a stereotypical answer because it's such a good answer because she's so inspiring, honestly.
That's true.
So how did you both become interested in nanotechnology?
Yeah, how did you guys get into it? I mean, I didn't know what nanotechnology was in high school and wouldn't have ever thought of pursuing it really.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with this one. So I came across this program because one of my friends who was 1 year senior than me in high school, he got into this program. So then I was like, oh, cool, nanotechnology. And then I started searching about it. I found it to be really interesting. I mean, like who, as a high school student interested in science, who doesn't want to do cutting edge science? This is pretty cool.
Mhm.
And I actually didn't think about it too much. I just found it to be really cool and applied and got in. Pretty much.
For example, in Marvel, you hear about nanotech, quantum, just throw those
Mhm.
words around.
Those big
You kind
words,
of
yeah.
exactly, and you feel like, oh, I want to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I'm actually quite similar to you or Fani in that I didn't know anything about nanotechnology when I was in high school. So I was looking at going to the University of Waterloo for chemical engineering. Yeah, my grandfather was an engineer. He was actually an electrical engineer, but I had a great interest in chemistry from my high school chemistry teacher, actually. She was a very good teacher, and that's where I knew I wanted to pursue that area. So when I went on a tour of the university, I was introduced to some people who were in nanotechnology engineering,
Mhm.
and I had no idea what that was, but it kind of had all of the areas of chemistry that I was
Mhm.
interested in, actually. And it was, like you said, a more cutting edge field of science that just drew me
Right.
in. The one thing is that when you're
Yeah.
an undergrad in the QNC, Quantum Nano Center, you stay in one room all day. So it's sort of like elementary school in that sense, in that all the profs
That's
come to
true.
you instead
That's
of you
true.
going around campus, which has its pluses and minuses.
Speaking of quantum suits and high-tech superheroes, what would your superpower be?
I think controlling time is the easiest answer, right? That would be the dream because I think that's objectively the best answer.
I think for me, I want to be able to teleport. So I save
Mm.
time in traveling. I think I don't exactly want it to be travel back in time just because I watched a TV show called Dark that made me not wanting to travel in time
True.
because it could mess things up. But just if I can teleport, I can go to work in a just
That's
very
true. That's true.
fast.
That's a
I
good
get
point.
to
That's a good point.
That's
yes,
true.
I get to visit my family without flying for 14
That's
hours.
true. Mhm.
So yeah.
And
That's
the
very
flights
true.
during COVID don't sound very enjoyable at all.
That's true.
Mhm. Nope. I actually flew to China last year, just before COVID hit here, to visit
Ooh.
my parents. So
Wow.
lucky me, I went there before it got, very bad. But on the flight back to here, I was scared. So I was wearing a mask the whole time. I didn't eat for like almost a whole day, or maybe 18 hours
Wow.
or so. Like since I left home, I didn't really eat. I
Oh my
just
goodness.
drank like one sip of water. It was not fun, but hopefully this thing is over soon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Gillian, you graduated. Cam, you're currently in it. And in the nanotechnology engineering program, it is integrated with co-op, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What's the situation is like with co-op and nanotechnology? Like, are there any co-op jobs?
So it is hard to find. I would say there are many co-op jobs. Like we don't have to apply for nano related job, but if you're looking to get a nano specific job in your first try, it is very, 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 very hard because there are Cam understands that.
Yes, I do.
There because the company is always looking for someone with experience, which makes sense. They want to know if you have a bit of prior knowledge in this. So the first job could be very hard to find, but I mean, I did it. My classmates did it. I'm sure Cam did it. A lot of the nano jobs are actually heavily research focused, first of all, and because it's such an interdisciplinary field, so you might find the post is about researching chemistry and biology, but it has a nano component to it. For example, they're doing nano biomaterials, but it's still, under the biology or biochemistry discipline. I'd say there are nano jobs. It's just rarely to find. And I actually had many classmates, they didn't really do nano-related co-op jobs at all. And they
Ever?
just found, maybe not ever, I
Throughout?
can't think of an example that someone who did 4 jobs that's not nano-related, but at least like 3. Yeah, so I think it's a really good thing to have co-op because you're not only exposed to nano, you're actually having an opportunity to find to work in some other fields. And I know I have classmates who found another field to be more interesting to them, and then they might switch out of the program or they stay in the program, but then after they graduate, they just do, what interests them more. So
Okay.
I have a pretty positive opinion about this co-op program. It just makes you know what is it like to work in a certain industry, for example, because a lot of the time, we have our own perspectives. Maybe we read an article, maybe we watched a YouTube video, for example, but it's still not as representative as you personally work in that field. So in this sense, co-op give you exposures and help you to make a decision if you want to pursue that field or you want something else later. It can be very stressful, especially to find the first job, because co-op is, once you're in the co-op program, so you have to satisfy certain credits. I think there's total 6 co-op terms. So each term is 4 months and you need 5 out of 6. I'm not sure if the rule changed during COVID time, but at our times, you have to do 5 out of 6. So it's quite stressful because you have to find a job in order to graduate. But that also motivates you to actually find a job.
You're right there, Gillian. They actually decreased it to 4 out of 6 co-ops for our class now. So you don't have to get a job every term. And I will say as well that it's not just a nano or even an engineering related co-op. You can have a science co-op, a math co-op, and they'll still count it for your degree. So at least that's reassuring in the sense that you'll hopefully be able to get enough co-op work terms under your belt to graduate. Yeah, as for nano co-ops, you're completely right. You just have to know where to look, I think, is the key thing. Research and startups will oftentimes have nano components related to them, just because that's how new of a field nanotechnology is. You really need to focus on the new up and coming technologies rather than just, working your regular office job 9 to 5. You won't really find nanotechnology in that space. As for co-op jobs for nanotechnology students, however, I think there's way more than you'd expect because nanotechnology students have a skill set that spans electrical engineering, physics, chemistry, math. They know they have just a wide range of knowledge that they can apply to really any wide array of jobs and problems that they can solve. So I think nanotechnology students are well equipped to get any sort of job. It's just those nanotechnology specific jobs that are harder to find.
Then in terms of nano jobs in bigger, well-established companies aren't there, but you would just look for research or again, startup who are still focused on the research aspect.
Yes, which in my opinion are the more interesting jobs anyways.
That's right, because you're still discovering then, right?
Yes,
you're still doing
exactly.
discovery.
I will say, since I haven't graduated yet, it's hard to predict where really I'll go with my nanotech engineering degree. At this point, that's one of the drawbacks I think to having a broad range of learning is that you don't really know where you want to branch out into, which field you want to explore until you actually get there. I think that's the challenge that I'm facing is that I don't really know what I want to do with my career yet. What I do know is that there are jobs out there that I can do. I just really have to focus on what interests me the most, which right now I'm looking into areas of chemistry that I enjoy, but I've been exploring a bit of mechanical engineering as well.
Very similar to Cam, even though I graduated. Still, to me, because we came from nano, so we speak the language of so many different fields. We are exposed to so many fields. It feels there are so many options that I can do, and I still not exactly sure about which way should I go and what should I explore, just because there are too many options there. But my experience in finding nano jobs already prepared me for after graduation because I knew there's not such nano industry out there yet. So I was aware of if I want to do more application related, like commercializing nanotechnology, then most likely I will be looking into working at a startup company. Or if I want to do more research heavy jobs or just do more research in general, then I would look into getting a master's degree or a PhD degree. Actually, a lot of my classmates who are very into research, after graduation, they found a field that they're interested in and started as a master's student.
Sounds like master's degrees or even PhDs are pretty common paths for nanotechnology students.
Yes, very common.
You still have like flexibility in whatever you want to do, is what I'm
Yeah.
getting from here. Yeah.
I think it's a good problem to have as well, to have too many options, rather than none.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially like
that's
right
true.
now, there's very few jobs. You
Mhm.
both are so versatile. Amazing. So I guess that brings in the following question. Well, what would you say to your 18-year-old self that was thinking of going to college or university? Like, what kind of advice do you have maybe for future undergraduate students?
I would say try to connect with people from Nano if possible. Also, take a look at the courses offered in this program. You can just Google University of Waterloo Nanotechnology Engineering program. Then you can see what are the type of courses that's covered in and see if that's something that interests you. If you're the type of person who make a rushed decision, then think more. If you tend to overthink, then don't think too much. So I guess my suggestion to high school students that's considering or never heard of nanotechnology but now aware of this field, I would just say don't be overstressed about it, because even once you choose a program, it doesn't mean you're completely set for the program. It's more of a dynamic process where you can explore and evaluate constantly. You got interested in nano and you got into this program. There is so much more to learn about it once your journey begins. For example, you get to talk to the profs, you learn about their research, and you learn about their perspectives of nano. You might find it to be very interesting. You might find it to be not, but that's okay. You can always constantly evaluate. I have friends who are really into nano. They love research. I have friends who realize nano is not their cup of tea, then they just choose to do something else. But overall, I think nano had a pretty positive influence on us. Just the overall ability to learning things quickly, and that make us a pretty strong candidate in many different fields in whichever path you want to take if it is not nano.
And in the first year of the program, that was just 2 years ago for me now, you get introduced to areas such as coding, as well as chemistry, physics, math, all the fundamentals so that you can explore different paths. And now in third year, I'm getting to choose between a couple different electives, so I can go into exploring more of the nanomaterials aspect or the nanobio applications. There's just a big choice, I think, at that point further along, where you get to choose where you want to branch into. So you still learn a lot of the broad concepts early on, and I think that's the same for most engineering degrees or most science degrees, in that you learn a lot of math and science early, just the general concepts, and then you specialize later on. So for the 18-year-olds looking to go to college or university, the important thing to remember is that you always have a chance to change your career direction later on when you're closer to graduating, or even once you graduated, you can go try out different jobs. You're never really set on one path. I think that when you learn such a broad range of subjects, you definitely have expanded career opportunities. You can work in one field for a few years, and then you can completely switch over to something else that maybe you're more interested in, because you realize that maybe the one field wasn't all that it chalked up to be. The great thing is that you learn a lot of that through co-op, actually. I worked my first job in a more research-oriented wastewater treatment lab. And actually, I was one of the lucky few who got a bit of nano experience in their first co-op. So I had some experience making super paramagnetic iron oxide nanoparticles, which we were using for wastewater treatment. But I actually found that wasn't what I enjoyed. Even though it sounds really cool, the research that ended up being like 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., that wasn't my cup of tea. It was some long hours and some some work that was quite strenuous, I think. And being a first co-op, it was more washing glassware and doing some of the rudimentary exercises that you have to kind of work your way up to doing the nanoparticle syntheses and stuff like that, the more exciting things. But I was able to experience different aspects of engineering with my later co-ops. And I think it's the same thing even once you graduate. I guess I don't know yet. I'll let Gillian touch on that. But I think you have the opportunity to switch from one career path to another even once you've graduated, because nowadays with the whole fourth industrial revolution, you know, you have to have a varied skill set so that you can jump from one job to the next if that's what's required of you.
Yeah, I agree with what you said completely. So I think there definitely nanograduates goes into a wide array of different type of careers. And even, well, I'm early in my career, very early, and I'm considering, evaluating different things to do. And I just meet up with my nano friends every week and we talk about what we want to do and what are the things to look at. Because I think one thing about graduation is that once you finish undergraduate, your life is nothing's planned. You have to be the planner for yourself. And that I found that to be pretty scary at first, because there was no more courses, no more classes to worry about. And it's just like all on your own sort of thing. I started to find it to be pretty exciting as well, because there are so many different things that I get to try. I think nano, like I already mentioned, it makes me to be able to speak the basic language in many fields. I feel like I have a bit of knowledge in everything. It makes it slightly easier to communicate with people in different fields because I speak different languages in science and engineering. So I think that's a quite important soft skills. I would say, a lot of nanotech students have great communication skills. And I think when it comes to career, soft skills are very, very important. And the fact that we were in nano, it was not an easy program. We had to learn so many many different things. We learned biology, biochemistry, quantum mechanics, we learned microfabrication, so many different things. So it made us to be avid learners. We even if I want to go into another career path, then I have the ability to self-educate myself and to be prepared for anything new that I want to try. So I think it's quite important in general to sort of have the ability to change, have the skills to make the change, to plan the change for yourself.
You really get the ability to think on your feet, though. That's one huge takeaway, I think, from the nano program.
What are some of the struggles you have faced or are facing, and how did you or will you overcome them?
Yeah, I have a few answers to this, and a couple of them I've actually touched on already. The first one is, deciding what to do with my life. That's really a big question, I think, in a lot of people's lives. What job do I want to work? What area, what career do I want to go into? At this point, I'm not too sure. I've narrowed it down, I think, to this like science and engineering area. I think I want to be in chemistry. There's just a couple tidbits here and there that I know that I'm interested in, and I think will be part of my career later on. But a specific job, I couldn't name one. Honestly, I have no clue. I think that will come in time, though. I'll be patient. I'm only 20 right now. It will, hopefully. I'm one of the few 2000s, in the workforce right now. But, well, I guess we'll be expanding soon. And another struggle is really just with the start of your degree, your first co-op. I think that's one thing that not many people realize. It's not going to be great. Your first co-op, you will just be most likely, like unless you're one of the couple who are extremely lucky, you'll mostly be washing glassware or typing things into an Excel spreadsheet. You do have to work your way up there. Like no one will give you responsibility that they haven't seen you earn yet. So unless you have some very amazing accomplishments already, which some people do have, you just got to be patient because it will come in time for sure.
Yeah, it's just to expand a little bit on the first co-op. It's definitely, we all acknowledge that it's a very difficult process, and even in the Waterloo works system. So that's a system made by Waterloo where the employers post their jobs and then people go through the jobs and make their applications. There are several rounds. There's the first round, second round, continuous rounds, assuming it's still how it works. So it could be quite non-encouraging when, after you applied in the first round, you get nothing after second round, and you're in the continuous round. But I'd say just keep trying. You will find something. And once you, like what Cam said, in your first experience might not be great, but try to take the initiative, try to learn as much as possible, and it'll get better. Even when you cannot know if this is something you want to do, at least you know what you don't want to do. That's a pretty important thing as well. The struggles that I am currently facing now, it's also a similar answer. I don't know what I want to do with my life. I think that's actually a very common question that young undergraduate students and new graduates face, and it's normal and it's okay to have questions and to wonder what you want to do. So I think for me, I am becoming very interested in the healthcare field. I think to overcome this struggle in finding what I want to do, I would try to talk to more people in the field, try to shadow people if possible. Then I think that will help me to make a decision in what really interests me, what I'm really passionate about, and what I want to do for maybe another decades, 2 decades or longer, or rest of my life. And even if it's not nano, any program that has a co-op component would be quite beneficial, because interview skills comes with practice. The more you're exposed, the more you're better at it. So it's kind of a process that forces you to try, which is really good, because once you get a hang of it, then you're no longer afraid of it.
And I hope that quells some of the fears of the pre-university, pre-college students who don't know what they're doing either, because you have you have someone who's halfway through their degree and someone who's completed their degree who also don't know what they're doing. So don't worry. Yes, exactly. And one last bit of advice that I give to new university students or late high school students or any students at all is to exercise. A lot of people have taken it up now with COVID. Some people hopefully will soon. There's still a lot of people who just ignore exercise, but it's important not just for your body, but for your mind. I think I have had periods where I've been injured and not training, and then periods where I'm training, and I compare my grades. And even though I spend so much time on the track, so much time running, my grades shoot way up when I'm training. Your mental acuity is just so much higher when you're exercised. You get the positive benefits of just exercising. It's very important.
Me, I guess I get a lot of back pain. I need to fix that. So.
Yeah, I feel you're funny. I have back pains during the time that I don't exercise, and once I start exercising, it just disappears.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's a sort of a medicine for me.
For sure.
For cats too.
Yeah. 100%.
So yeah, you're both such great inspirations and role models. Thank you so much for sharing and coming on the show.
Yeah, so thank you guys, and I hope whoever's listening to this, found this very helpful, especially for those who are trying to figure out what to do for their undergraduate degree. All right,
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you guys. That's all the Nano for today. Take care.
And stay curious.